We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
In light of these studies, the CDC is advising the use of non-medical cloth face covering as an additional voluntary public health measure. So it's voluntary. You don't have to do it. I don't think I'm going to be doing it.
At the beginning of the pandemic, social distancing and mask wearing were some of the first tools governments used to minimize the spread of the novel coronavirus. Early COVID combating measures created an interesting paradox. Imagine it is mid-March 2020. You are tired of watching Tiger King, so you decide to go outside and visit the desolate Times Square by taking the subway. Since everyone else is either at home or at a Florida beach, you do not interact with anyone during your visit. Because there is no one to transmit the virus to you, you do not catch COVID and you benefit from your wandering as you got to be outside and explore New York City. This hypothetical is a bizarre paradox, as if everyone followed your lead and ventured outside, there would be a huge cost to society as a whole. COVID-19 would spread and very likely spike. The entire society would benefit if everyone stayed home.
Epidemiologists have said if it were possible to wave a magic wand and make all Americans freeze in place for 14 days while sitting 6 feet apart, the whole epidemic would sputter to a halt.
Individually, however, you may be compelled to go outside and get some fresh air, since everyone else staying home means you will not be exposed to the virus. But if other people make the same calculation, the virus can be actively spread and there is essentially no benefit to society. Individuals themselves would also face a consequence since they now may be exposed to the virus. This dilemma is a collective action problem, a situation in which people's individual incentives are inconsistent with the interest of the group as a whole. In collective action problems, the benefit for the group requires everyone, or at least the overwhelming majority of individuals, to go against their personal incentive. To use another example, mask wearing is a collective action problem as well. Suppose every person has a 1% chance of having and spreading COVID-19, but when wearing a mask, the chance of spreading the virus is 0.1%. For the purposes of simplicity, we will assume that wearing a mask does not provide any benefit for the individual, and benefits only others. We will approach this from two perspectives, the society and the individual. To begin from the perspective of society, with these hypothetical odds, it can be calculated that if 100 people who are all maskless go shopping, the odds that no one will give another person the virus is about 36%, meaning the likelihood of someone getting COVID is 64%. If 100 people go grocery shopping all wearing a mask, the odds that no one will give another person the virus is about 90%. Which means there is only a 10% chance that someone will get coronavirus from this event, much lower than the 64% in the maskless scenario. With such a disparity between the odds, it is sensible that society would want everyone to wear a mask to limit COVID-19 infections. However, from an individual's perspective, this is not the case. Since we are assuming mask wearing does not help the wearer, the individual gains nothing from wearing a mask. What they lose by not wearing a mask, however, is dependent on the actions of others. This is because if 99 people who are all wearing a mask go shopping, but one person who decides not to wear a mask joins them, the odds that no one will give another person the virus remains relatively low at 89.6%, quite similar to the odds mentioned before where everyone was wearing a mask, meaning from the individual's perspective, failing to do what is good for the group comes with very little individual cost. Attempts to address this have been by implementing financial and social penalties for those that fail to wear a mask. But unless these penalties are enforced effectively, the efficacy of mask wearing is still largely dependent on cooperation and hope that others will follow your lead. This makes it a collective action problem.